Welcome everybody back to another BOLDcast reaction. I'm Carson.
I'm Lindsay.
This is Apothecary Diaries, Season 2, Episode 7, finally. Leave a like and subscribe. Let's see what happens this time. Let's go. Uncuts on Patreon. Get caught up with us together. Okay. Baby Jinshi. The old emperor. That old bitch. Old dowager.
Whoa.
Oh, she was the real emperor.
Whoa. Very mysterious.
I wonder if he even liked younger girls?
I think
Or he liked younger girls because they were the opposite of his wife? Because it seems like he didn't have much control over much.
Well, he might have also got like dementia or something because he was pretty old.
That's true. Classic boy, play with a sword. Calm himself down.
Yeah, I was thinking.
So
that's his.
I know even the old man and woman were. The old man was my father.
So technically his biological grandfather.
Yeah.
And then she was the grandmother. So she probably fucking hated her pedophile son. And because that's his.
Oh. Okay. Right.
Yeah, because Jinshi's mother and the Emperor's actual mother is a lot younger.
Right.
And she's still alive, and we've seen her many times, so. But she was significantly younger than the Emperor. Mm-hmm. But it seems like the previous, however many previous Jinshi's great-grandmother, Dowager Empress lady, seemed to be a bit of a badass, I guess.
But what's confusing
She's super sketchy
Yeah.
and scary.
She was not liking them getting close to Jinshi. Maybe they were trying to poison him because they were finding out about what his truth was or something. I don't know. Hard to recall. I had no way of knowing who the old man and old woman were. So he was under the impression that he was his dad original? Wait, they told me the man I always thought was my father was actually my brother, which is a lie. Because he's actually his son. So he was under the impression before, so he thought the lie or the truth originally, then they taught him the lie, and then he went back and realized the truth, or he hasn't realized the truth yet.
Maybe he hasn't realized
or
the truth?
but like, then why would he cry when Otto went?
Well, maybe he thought that the Emperor was his father, even though he actually is, but maybe he thought that because his actual father didn't want anything to do with him, and was never there, so he just saw, oh, the, like, older, like, father-aged man in my life that he obviously lost what he thought was his own son, and then probably, like, came to see baby Jinshi and hang out with him.
Or he knows about the baby swap, and it was a calculated political move on his part to keep his son safe from people like his grandmother, who was apparently a political mastermind. Maybe, from Otto's perspective, it seems like it was just, oh, I just wanted to keep him safe, blah, 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 blah. But maybe they knew that the old ancient empress dowager bitch would go after his children because she was also really close with Shisho, who's like a political mastermind as well.
Yeah.
So they are like, now their shit's coming to fruition. So maybe he saw that coming, and that's why his mother, the dowager who Jinshi was calling mom, who is actually his grandmother, she was like looking all fucked up because she knows that they're like angling politically to get his branch of the family out of the picture, and have been moving towards it since forever. Yeah. That's what I think. So he was always under the impression that what's interesting to me is that he ever thought that this was his dad. He was like, "Oh, this is my dad," and then they were like, "No, that's not your dad. That's your brother," even though it is his dad.
I mean, he just had great instincts. Or I mean, he's so much older. Like if you were. Like, I imagine, like, there wasn't many people that were really allowed around Jinshi when he was a kid, other than probably a bunch of, like, women, like, servants, like, nannies kind of looking after him. So if this is, like, the adult man that is hanging around, it's like, oh, I know who my mom is. This must be my dad, considering that he's the only guy that I'm seeing around, you know? I don't know. But then it is.
But so there's like multiple layers, I guess. But like he's like, oh, it'll have to come out eventually. The only part that's really confusing to me here is what does Jinshi actually believe? Because judging by how he reacted when Ado left, and he was like super broken up and torn up about it. He like hugged Maomao in the moonlight and was like crying. And, you wouldn't do that just because one of the concubine that you were friends with left, like he had to have some inclination towards her,
Yeah.
Right? He had to have known in order to have that reaction.
I feel like either he had to have known or she
maybe not explicitly, but like have put it together in his mind.
She just behaved because she knew.
Yeah.
I don't know how much, like, we see Gyokyo and she's like taking care of her daughter all the time, but we also see that
Ado and Lishu, or what?
We also see that like the Gyokyo's daughter is often being taken care of by like the other servants, like the other like ladies in waiting kind of people. So we don't know who was really raising Jinshi. We don't know if his mom was like his like grandmother was like super actively raising him, and we don't know if he bonded like with other people because like he thought of the emperor as his dad because he came in and like saw him. We don't know if Ado like treated him as a son, even though she was trying to pretend that he wasn't a son, but she also had lost her own like child, so he just bonded with her in that way, like kind of implicitly. And yeah, maybe he knows deep down, but he hasn't like thought about it, or maybe he just wishes that she's like the mom that he didn't have kind of thing, and he wishes that she had been his mother.
I guess I could see that. It's just more steps to the same place. That's why it's confusing. Not that it wouldn't make sense for him to go through all those mental gymnastics to do that. Or that like or that it doesn't make sense from like a story perspective. It's just way more steps to the same destination, which normally isn't how things work in stories. So that's why it feels kind of like, we got to the same place, but now he's doing like a bunch of other mental gymnastics in his head when he could just like think that it's his, given how he reacted, this closest step is that he figured it out on his own. But now he's talking here like he hasn't figured it out, but he still acted that way. So then you have to skip over that and go a couple more steps to he's subconsciously toying with the fact that he did because she acted away towards him and he bonded with her in a but he still hasn't put it together despite knowing all the details, like it's just it realistically it makes equally as much sense. And in terms of like a real life person, it actually does it might even be more likely for people to like not really put together all that shit. But in terms of a story, normally that's the kind of thing that would be a lot more cut and dry, even if it wasn't revealed to us. So that's it. It's not that it's bad writing, it might even be better writing that he hasn't fully internalized that. But this is this whole shit, like this is a huge revelation of just seeing the fucking, his, I guess, great-great-grandmother or his great-grandmother? Great-grandmother.
great-grandmother.
His great-grandmother. And then her son, I was like, oh, is that his wife? No, that's his mom. I didn't even, like, realize that.
Well, I thought it was
everyone's
weird
so
that
close in age.
Yeah, because I was like, it's also hard to see because they both just look old, and it's from the perspective of a child, where I feel like people would just look old.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I was thinking, like, oh, is this, like, his wife that he, like, had to be married to?
And she's, like, abusing him and, like, took
or,
power.
No, I was thinking, like, it was, like, she gets, like, forced to marry this guy, but he doesn't have any interest in her because she's actually age appropriate for him. But no, it turns out that she's older.
Yeah, and I when we saw that, like, I was thinking of all the details. I was just seeing this look on her face and was so like, whoa, this is so crazy. So I was like, oh, she's like his daughter or something, you know? Or like that's the emperor's dad, the previous emperor's dad, but I wasn't properly putting it all together because I was so like, whoa, what the fuck is up with her? But no, there's such an age difference, and because that's the point, is that he was a pedophile supposedly. But I'm not gonna be a pedophile apologist by any means. I just with people like Lock-On, it's like we heard so much and like seen so much about how villainous he was, and he's probably a piece of shit. But the show has a very clear way of portraying people, without us knowing them as, complete monsters, when really it's at least more complicated than that, because we don't know how much say he had in his people. Like, just judging from this, it seems like he's completely and then the current emperor, Jinshi's brother dad, they've talked multiple times about how he is disgusted by his father's predisposition towards younger women. And obviously he himself is super into, the baddest bitches in the country. He constantly has like the hottest, most bodacious women that money can fucking buy. But so maybe if that's a theme, maybe that's a theme. Maybe he's rubber banding from his dad being like a pedophile, and his dad was rubber banding from his weird relationship with his mom. So maybe it wouldn't excuse it, but it would at least like explain why because he kind of is acting in a weird way like a child there when he's encountering his mom. It's like, because maybe he was pushed around by her as she was making all the decisions, and he was constantly infantilized even though he was in that position. So then he, in his mind, is like a child still, even though he's a 60-year-old man, and that's why he...
Or it's like either that, which is still not good,
it's not good.
Or
2 thumbs down for that.
It could also be like, he feels like he was getting pushed around, so he just found someone else that he could push around. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Same kind of thing. Yeah.
Same kind of thing, but instead of like him feeling like a child, it's just like he wants to feel like he's not a child. Instead of like a
wants to find somebody below him.
Instead of like something like frickin' Betty from Mad Men, where there's like that weird thing where she mentally is like still a child and doesn't like make the weird
28-year-old
relationship okay. Yeah. But like that is like, she's not necessarily trying to take advantage. She just like is like trying to like regrow up and like find the steps that she missed.
Yeah, because like to make that connection with Mad Men for people who don't know, it's Betty is the main character, Don Draper's wife, and she is a classic 50s, 60s housewife and she loves it, supposedly, but she's super depressed. She, on the outside, she has like a lot of pride for her position in the community and her appearance, yeah. Because her mom like instilled all of this like toxic femininity into her, so she like constantly is dealing with that. And like on the outside, everything seems fine. She's literally like the perfect trophy wife, but she, on the inside, is a child, and she goes to therapy, and she babysits one of the neighbor's kids at one point, and he like walks in on her when she was in the bathroom, and she's like, "No, Glenn, get out!" Blah blah blah, and it's like, it's all this awkward shit, and then they get in a fight, and then she like gives him a lock of her hair, so it's also kind of like rewarding that behavior, and she is so lonely and depressed, and is so, because of the times, it's like a commentary of the times where women are basically property, so she never got to really grow up. She's just a pretty face and like somebody who does the dishes and cooks and cleans and all that types of stuff. She's not like a person. She doesn't have her own agency because the society hasn't given her that. And she doesn't know how to be a person on her own. She only knows how to be a wife to a man. She, anyway, there's this weird fucking thing where constantly it's like a commentary on the people of the time and whatever. And like the fact that they have this relationship means something more outside of the relationship. So that's all it means in terms of Apothecary Diaries, is that maybe there's a theme there of people choosing not just based on what their own tastes are, but their tastes are informed based on a rejection of the previous people, or as a rubber band of that effect. Also similar in this story to how fucking Lock-On and Maomao kind of is, Maomao's constantly trying to like rebel in small ways against Lock-On, even though they're more similar than you might think. I don't know. Interesting. Maybe I'll cut out a lot of that Madman stuff. Fuck it, I'll leave it in. Maybe I'll put a timestamp that you can skip to this point if you don't want to listen to Madman talk. Anyway, we are 20 minutes into the first 3 minutes of the episode.
You're welcome. Especially when we watch the OP too, so it's like
30 seconds in and we spent 20 minutes. This is Jujutsu Kaisen all over again. Okay. What is this? Mao Mao? Little Xiao Mao? Oh, is that the Dowager? Or is this...
school.
It seems like a common kind of theme, these like powerful women who are like sorceresses and witches. It's like the old dowager, Maomao, Suirei, these like, these temptresses. Maomao's mom, in a way, the moon fairy, the old lady, is like these super powerful women who are like magical.
This creature.
I bet a lot of them are like, I'd have work to do.
Hate school.
She's just not a morning person. I love Shaolin. Again, this old building.
Maybe this guy's gonna know some lore about that place.
I bet it's a tomb. What if it's a tomb?
Oh, it's like a maze. Interesting.
Likely story. Likely story. Her dad.
No.
He looks like him. He's got the same eyes.
Look at her go. Look at them. Nice family meal.
待て、クスシ。この後行くところへついてきてほしい。洗濯の秒へ。
Oh God.
Oh.
突然どうされたので
一体何をなさるのやら。昼間見た古い秒。
Does
お待ちしております。もう一度、チンが通ってもいいのかな。
oh he keeps wanting to attempt it. I bet he wants Mao Mao because Mao Mao's really smart to get him through, or maybe he wants Jinshi to go through. Sorry.
もう同じかもしれませんが、それでもよろしい。
What a way to speak to the emperor. They must have some prior relationship. Maybe his tutor.
Maybe.
では、
The emperor's also talking very
ここは女人禁制では。
off limits to women.
女性も女性です。
Oh God.
通るべからず。扉の色は青、赤、緑。
どの扉を
Let's
選
choose the
ぶ
red.
青にしよう。前は緑を選んだ。
The emperor wouldn't listen to a sign.
Maybe.
使われなくなったと思ったら突然やってくるお方がいるのですから。苦労をかける。
Yeah, he does talk to him really informally.
緑、茶、水色。
It's like a color mixing problem.
茶の扉を通るべから。これをずっと繰り返すのか。たり下がったり、戻ったり曲がったり。もう方向がわからない。角はどうして私を連れてきたんだろう。
This is super interesting. Oh, this is in the OP when they're going through the doors. And there's two of them. But there's only one of
これが
Jinshi.
最後の扉だな。
次の扉は青、紫、木で
Murasaki.
青き扉を通るべからず。他にもここに通じる扉が。この道からここに合流するのか。
The back of the doors are brown, but the front of the doors might be a different
Yeah.
color.
よろしいですね。頼む。
Nope.
王の子よ。だが王母の子ではない。意味はわからないが。
If the other green path led to here.
前に来た時と同じ結果か。
The other green path?
Or because he said, "Oh, I went." There's the first sign. It says, "Do not go through the red door," and then he says, "Oh, last time I took green, so this time I'm gonna take blue." But that other door that Mamo said they both come into here. Like there was another brown door, which was probably the same path as the green one.
Yeah.
So the green and the blue are the same. I feel like you probably have to go through the red one because like you're above the rules.
Yeah.
天意に何の意味がございましょう。
おそらくこの老宦官は生きる前からずっとこの病を管理してきたのだろう。管理を続けるため、蘇生して宦官になってまで。
Interesting.
お帰りはあちらです。
He's got to be related to the royal family or something. That's why he's talking to the emperor like that.
なのに正解にはたどり着けない。
Classic Mao Mao. Picks up a stick, draws in the dirt. Some super complicated nonsense.
選んだ扉の色か。
ローメンなかるだ。
見分けならわかる。ならわかるというのですか。
さてね、どうだろうね。
親父の知識はすごい。でもお前には無理だと言われるのは腹が立つ。
She's like, I want to freaking go back in there.
に関しての知識が群を抜いている。それに関係するということか。
They're like,
の扉、三つの色。王の子よ。だが王母の子ではない。この言葉の真意は何だ。
just sort of like double entendre there or
チン
some
が
shit.
王母の子ではないという言葉の意味がわかるか。
そういえば物語に登場するのは初代皇帝の母、王母だ。父親は出てこない。母方の血を重んじそうなものだが、には男子による世襲制をとっている。その中で王母の
As she says, hereditary, like.
先帝の兄君たちはみんな流行り病で倒れただろう。何か気づいたことが。
先帝のご兄弟は同服だったので。
全員の同服ではないが、王子を産んだ母君たちは姉妹だった。
No.
血が近かったということですね。無礼にも聞こえるかもしれません。一つよろしいでしょうか。
許す。言ってみよう。
代々帝位を目の悪い方が多く。
Oh, male fucking color blindness.
確かにあまり良くなか
Oh.
ったと。
The men of the royal family have color blindness due to interbreeding, maybe?
一度通ることはできませんか。
Or just because of it's part of their family line that they mistake colors for different colors?
口を挟むとなればなおさらまして妃でも姫でもないだろう
Are
た
you
だの美女だもんな
secretly highborn though?
先に召し上げよう
Jinji's gonna be like,
俺そうだね
Trouble convincing Lock-on.
ご冗談をそれもそうだならばお前が連れて行くかあそれなら構わぬか首相がそうおっしゃるのでは参ろうか
いつもより茶目っ気がある
I think he's just a playful guy in general. Look at him, he's got all mischievous
緑
looking.
の扉
どれを選ぶ？
青ここは帝が選ばれたものと同じ
then what?
次は緑、茶、水色の中から茶を通るべからず。
水色の扉を
The light blue door, yeah.
真の選んだ扉と違うの
Would green.
Choose blue every
さっき
time
通った時は
then?
分からなかった
Or what?
I wonder if it is gonna be color blindness. Am I
あ
wrong?
るとしたら扉の色に鍵があるはずだ10個目白、紫、緑の扉何時、赤い扉を選べ
Choose the red.
扉などないぞ。
But it would look red
If you had color blindness.
to green. I see.
Because it's the men. And she
This is
knew
the
her
red,
son
green.
had fucking color blindness.
ここは
Ooh.
The land,
おめ
they.
でとうございます正しき道を選ばれたようでこの昔王母に選ばれた者が次の王になりました者はここに立ち民に宣誓することが決まりもうこの道を選ぶことができなかった時は道を選ぶ妃を連れて再度この廟へやってきたと
Damn.
本来というものがそれをなすわけですがいやどうも違うものが当ててしまったようで
挑発してきたのはそっちなのにおじじ
それよりどういうこと真にわかるように説明してくれぬかそちらの娘に聞いてはいかがかと
いやこのじじい言いにくいことを私に言わせる気か
だそうだ
建国の物語では王母は暗闇の目を持っているということでしたこの廟に選ばれ王母の血を引く者は識別ができない目を持つ、
Oh, the women. Okay.
色の識別も。
どういうことだ
ではなんだ扉の
Oh, just whichever one was lightest?
最初は青、
Or what?
赤、緑の扉があり通るなとありました青でも緑でも正解なはずですが王母の子は青を選ぶ
Why?
なら赤と緑の
Yes.
区別が
Yeah.
つかないから確実に
Color
赤では
blindness.
ない扉を
赤と緑が区別できない
この国では珍しいのですが
In the Western, is it because of the color of the eyes?
ができない男性が10人に1人の割合
Sorry, before they go any further, because some people with blue or green and really light colored eyes perceive colors differently because the light goes in and it can bounce around a little bit more before it
I thought
gets
that
in.
it was just like color blindness is maybe more common.
That's probably true too.
ローメンなら
Oh, maybe her dad's colorblind.
ここに留学していた親父なら、
ん
この特性を知っていただろうあそういう意味だったか
He knew he studied abroad.
も同じです指示で
With the brown, they go for the lightest one, the light blue.
水色を選ぶでしょう最後の扉も赤を通れとありながら扉がありませんでした白と紫の扉が
They see, then they know it's not those.
扉が赤だと判断します場合は2つあるように見えながら
There's only ever one.
1つしかなかったのです
代々の皇帝にそんな特徴がある気づき
Yeah, what's going on there?
聞いたことがあるのですが色が判断できなくてばどうにか対処できるので、
Oh, so maybe you just don't know.
Yeah.
色の識別が困難な分読めが利く
Mm. I didn't know that. Is that true?
伝えの元ではないでしょう
引き継いだ特性を持つ者しかここを通過できないということか。
偶然通過した者もいるかもしれませんがたどり着ける確率は相当低いでしょう、
Mm-hmm.
ほぼは陶器地よりやってき
A
た
distant land to the west?
色彩の判別が困難な特性を持ちながらこの地より従者と共にこの地へとやってきた
Hmm.
定住するのは容易なことではありませんそこでと婚姻を結んだのです
So the trait just got breeded out, basically.
伝承では王母は夫を持たなかったと聞くぞ。
たちのしたたかなところです、
Mm-hmm.
くな
Make
りすぎ
her
ない
more
分
important.
よそから来たものをめとしいことではない王母を祖としながら代々男子が皇位継承しているのはたやり方に従ったからだと思う
Mm-hmm.
しかし種族はそのまま自分たちの違うすれ よしとしなかった。王母の血を確実に後世にそれは
That one trait in their bloodline.
もし特性王母に近しい血筋のものを妃として迎え、共に病に
And then they become the concubine because she helped.
Which, by the way, in this little backstory, she has the same hair as Lolon.
先も病に立ち入ることができるのはそのためだ。少しずつ国の中心に入り込んでいく。元いた長の存在を物語から追い出王母を祖にするほどに。やがて当時を知る者がいなくなれば物語が真実となる。
Yeah.
それはとても平和で気の長い乗っ取りだったわけだ。何それは言えないけどね。
Maybe you should.
王母の血は流れておらぬということか。
判別法としてこの病の存在があるだけです。あっても、子に伝わらないことがあります。
Recessive genes, etc.,
それによ
etc.
っても弊害が起こります。先手のご兄弟が病で倒れ、そのせいかも
Yeah.
They're all inbred.
Yeah.
よもやこんな小娘に謎解きするとは思いませんでした。王母がこの地を治められたのは蓋があったからこそと言われております。
She's a mirror of her because she's meant to be with Jinshi.
込んでみては。
何を言っているのだ。
それは面白いかもしれない。ラカンを敵に回したくはない。
He really cares about Lockhon, doesn't he?
根回センチほど足らんの。
She's too scrawny. Get rid of her.
しかしお気をつけください。よその血が入ることを連中も多いでしょう。分かっておるよ。主情は分かっておられますでしょう。お気をつけください。
As they look to Jinshi. It's like very subtle there. Oh.
What?
Does this all play into why they did a baby swap, maybe? To keep Jinshi alive because it's like against the rules because Ado maybe isn't in the royal bloodline or, you know, because they said like, oh, a lot of people don't look favorably on, you know, adding people to the bloodline.
I mean, I guess, but like you gotta add people in some like when you have like 5.
Some people would disagree.
I know, but
Some
like
people
when you
would
have like
disagree.
50 concubines, there's gonna be.
But they're all chosen very meticulously from like highborn families,
Yeah.
probably with connections to the royal
But the
family.
other thing is the current emperor apparently doesn't have this genetic condition, so like Jinshi being the son of the same woman wouldn't even necessarily.
If the woman was traced back lineage-wise to his family few generations removed, that would lower the risk of inbred-related illnesses or disabilities, but also keep the recessive genes strong within the tree. And maybe that's what they were trying to do with the dowager, or with who everybody thinks Jinshi actually is, which is the emperor's brother. You know, maybe that's what they were trying to do with him, but he knew, or he wanted his son to be passed on, so then that's maybe why he did the baby swap, and also to keep him safe from his grandmother. And there's something to do with that. It's just that line seems really pointed from this dude of like they look at Jinshi. It's like, please be careful. It's like there are many. He says it twice. More importantly, she needs to be at least 50 centimeters in the chest. Whatever. However, please be careful, he says once. There are many who do not favorably view the introduction of new blood. Yes, I'm aware. Yes, I'm sure you are, Your Majesty. And then he says again, please be careful. And then he looks to Jinshi. So he's saying be careful to him, and then he says again, be careful to Jinshi. So he's doubling down with that, and then, yeah, I know. And then, oh, what does that mean? It means that there's little subterfuge and fuckery going on about with the bloodline, and they both know it, and the guy knows it.
Yes, it wouldn't add up, given the surmountable pile of evidence.
She's already figured it out. She just doesn't want to think about it. I want to watch the next one, even though we have to watch Peace.
Yeah, so we should watch that first.
I might have to go. Man, this episode was good. So much. I love the Emperor. I just love the guy. He's so good. He's
way
funny.
More chill. And I wonder, yeah. But it is interesting, you know, to have the sort of the trick of this place explained, because it's like, if he just went here secretly and didn't make it through, then he probably is thinking like, oh my god, and that's probably why he was looking all depressed with Gyokyo when he was thinking about this place. he was looking all sketchy, and we're like, what is
That
this
was
building?
Lifa, but yeah,
Oh, right.
I think. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
But anyway.
Because he probably tried to go through. He probably saw this place when when they were checking out the
Maybe he
after
went
the
with
ceremony,
each of his girls.
and then, maybe I was just thinking like he tried to go by himself, and then was disappointed. Then he's like, shit, like, do I not deserve to be emperor? You know, is that what this means? But then finding out that it's kind of just a trick, and it's not really about how just and fair you are, and how like spiritually good you are to be able to rule. It's just
it's a test. It's a weird like paternity test almost, or maternity test.
Yeah.
Of, you know,
which is not even it's
not
about as
fully
accurate as you can get, but it's about as like because it can skip over and you can. But yeah, it's keeping like a trait around.
Yeah, it's making sure that, you know,
which is funny because normally people would consider that a pretty undesirable trait. Not that there's anything wrong with being colorblind, obviously, but like normally that wouldn't be the kind of thing that you would purposefully try to like breed into your lineage.
Yeah.
But because of this very specific test, you know, that was kind of a way to do it.
Yeah, it's also like in terms of like symbology, it's an interesting thing for like the ruler's bloodline to be colorblind, but also be able to see in the dark. It's kind of an interesting thing. Like people who could see in the dark, like think about that on like a metaphysical level, on like a symbolic level. They can guide people through the darkness. Like they can see the right path, kind of similar to what we thought the place was originally, of just like knowing the good way forward. You know, so but it's also there, aside from just the seeing the dark thing, the fact that it's, you know, if the male line doesn't have it, then they'll bring in a concubine and test if she has it, and if she's of high born and everybody's kind of taken from the same pool across like different noble houses, then it's likely the people who have that trait can trace back their lineage, because you're not going to marry a commoner, right? Like in most cases, you're probably going to marry another high noble family who's presented their daughter to you, and then they probably are noble, and they probably married into your family line in the previous generation, so they probably have got that trait, if from anywhere, from these group of people who came from the West, who apparently have a higher density of that thing. So the idea is they're like complementary as well, and it's like you know, if Jinshi can't do it, then she's the one who's gonna come in, and it's funny that like she's, I don't know, it's just all the different symbols, they're all tying it in really well, and underscoring the potential romance between Jinshi and maomao. I don't know, it's all good.
And even the emperor is just like jokingly like, oh, why don't you?
Why don't you scoop her up?
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. I really like the Emperor. I hope we get to see more of him. I doubt we will, because he's the center of so many mysteries. Yeah. And we can't like get him a lot, but the fact that he seems to be like kind of a buddy with Lockhon. Like he mentioned it multiple times, like, oh, I don't think Lockhon would like that. Like, you know, he's not like fuck Lockhon or whatever. He doesn't, but or just doesn't mention him. He's like he mentions him by name twice about in the relation to his daughter, you know, getting with him or with Jinshi or whatever. It's like, I don't know. It's also aside from what the Emperor, like the fact that Emperor knows about Lockhon or possibly talks or hangs out with him, it's also that Lockhon is talking to the Emperor about maomao in a way. Yeah. He's like that the Emperor knows that because Lockhon told him about his backstory and about all this stuff, probably over wine, because we know they both drink wine, which is relatively uncommon in this time period. Like red wine, like because the Emperor's always sitting there drinking like glasses of wine, and then Lockhon like shows up with a really fine vintage to Jinshi's place. I
thought but he doesn't drink. He doesn't drink alcohol.
Oh,
that was the whole thing of the drinking contest, is that he doesn't drink alcohol.
Right.
So then when he drank some, then he was like totally destroyed.
Well, he was sitting there in Jinshi's office.
Yeah, it was
drinking.
juice.
It was juice
because
he
said, "Oh, give this to your like servants or whatever," and then he gave it to maomao, and she was like, "This is juice. This is not wine."
Okay, never mind. Anyway, regardless, it's interesting to me now that Lockhon like isn't a focus of the story. He's like out of the country with his long lost love. who apparently was missing a nose. It's like, you know when people do like a lot of coke and then their nose, like they have to get the plastic surgery to remove their septum or whatever, like the inside of their nose, and it like squishes down. That happens to you if you have or like something similar, like that sort of, it takes that shape just from deterioration, I think. So that's why the hair was like over her nose all the time, is because when she had her shit, she that happened. But it makes it all the more beautiful when he just sees her for the beauty that inside her and just like is so happy to be with her again. It's extra kind of sweet. Anyway, the Emperor is a great guy, really chill guy, and he's kind of implicitly revealing that he knows that like Lock-On must have been mentioning a bunch how much he wants to like reconnect with Maomao, or like you know, he knows that Lock-On would be upset by that. You know what I mean? I want to see more of the Emperor. He says such a presence to him, and he's thankfully not a weirdo, and he just likes big tits. Like he just loves titties, this guy.
Sees a 17-year-old girl? Absolutely the fuck not.
Yeah. And then this guy, I feel like they're flashing his eyes very subtly, and he has that kind of deep green, and then they didn't show us Lomen's eyes. I think on purpose, because it would be too, like, he's already like very similar, and I feel like they didn't want us to make that connection. He's clearly older than him, which makes me think maybe he's his father or something. Like if maybe they, because we know that Lock-On is related to Lomen. Lock-On is the nephew of Lomen, because we know from his backstory. And then there was the guy who was like yelling, who was Lomen's brother, which we think is Shisho, right? Which hasn't been revealed yet, but we think it is. But he has this similar kind of dull greenish hue to his eyes that's very interesting. And he's obviously, you know, knows Lomen, and he's connected seemingly to the royal family in some way, even if he's just like involved with that. Because if Shisho was like the previous dowager's favorite, and Shisho is related to Lomen and Lock-On, and they're clearly like high-ranking noble people who are apparently hanging out with the Emperor. Maybe this guy's related too, and again, it's like maybe Maomao, and then they were joking this episode about like how, oh no, I'm just a servant girl. It's like, no, you aren't. You're related to like a clearly very high-born fucking family. You know, you're a bastard, but that distinction doesn't seem to mean as much in this culture if you're like really high up there. Like, you know, you could be chosen and legitimized, and you're treated like just a regular kid, whether you're born in or out of wedlock, depending on the situation. But it seems like they mentioned that. They're mentioning Lock-On, they're mentioning Lomen. This guy kind of looks like Lomen. They're all related to Shisho. Shisho is like parallel with the queen. With the previous queen, we had that whole like thing at the start of the episode. I think that this is also kind of in the background building up this idea that Maomao again is like a secret princess, secret super highborn noble, good match for Jinshi. There's more going on there, and you know, to eventually reveal the connection between Maomao and Shisho. Super interesting, super badass, incredible, never the same. What is Lee Gaga saying? What are that meme of like, fantastic, incredible, beautiful, never the same, unique, blah, blah. You don't know that?
No.
Never mind. Leave a like and subscribe. We'll see you next one, Carson.
I won't
Hope
see.
you enjoyed the Mad Men discussion.